It says live. Right. Hi, everyone. I'm here with Aaron Russell because I thought, you know what? Let's get someone who's not going to World Open War to come and have a little bit of a look-see and tell us what they think. So, what better thing to do than grab someone from the other side of the world? Aaron, you're going home for the evening, and I am. This is morning for me in Denmark, and I'm at work, taking a short break, and we're looking at a list for World Open War. Hi, Aaron.
Hey, buddy. How are you? Nice to see you again. Nice to
You
chat.
too. Yes. So I sent Aaron the lists for World Open War and the missions for World Open War. And what's your initial reaction to seeing those lists?
Uh, they are definitely different and not what I was expecting.
Yep.
Um, but also quite different to how I would initially set out down the V3 rabbit hole, I
Yep.
guess, if we're to call it that. So that's good, but that's probably a good thing, right? Like that's what we want. We want us to see a bit of
Yep.
variety.
Shake
So
up of the
how
better.
about it?
This is definitely shaken up.
Uh,
So that's one thing. Where did like we've talked about this before, but you're starting in a different place for most of these lists, right? With
mm.
V3, you're looking at different stuff. Are you looking at stability of units, like chunkier units, and or what is it that you were expecting?
Um, yeah, I was probably expecting more. Look, what I can see is there is not a trend at
Yeah,
all towards uh units that like to get in close. There are
yeah,
some here, definitely, and there are certain lists, but as far as the overarching majority, that is not the case. There
yeah,
is no, there is no close quarter type um,
cool, yeah,
massive skews. There isn't like there are some SMG even type units, some tough fighter units. There is a couple of players that have gone heavy that way, but as a general of thumb, we're probably talking like maybe 5 to 10% of lists in here,
yeah,
as opposed to 70% or
yes,
60%, right?
yeah,
So that's a massive, massive difference.
massive shake up.
Ah,
Yeah.
yeah, big one. Uh, I'm even probably seeing less arty than I thought. Maybe even.
Oh, because I'm seeing a lot more
I,
artillery now. But okay, yeah, you were
or
expecting
maybe I
more?
was expecting more. Like nearly everyone.
Yeah.
um,
Yes. Yeah.
so,
Yeah.
but there is still quite a lot, but not. I was like expecting every, I was expecting maybe 80% arty platoons, but
Mm.
it's probably closer to 50, right? I mean,
Yeah.
anecdotally, but
I did the math recently, and artillery platoons is still the most popular non-rifle platoon. But it's approximately 50% of the players who take an
okay,
artillery platoon. Yeah.
cool.
So yeah, that's also very different. Um, like, did you have a couple of lists that you thought, well, this is a good list? Maybe not one that you
Mm.
yourself would play, but at least this is a list that I think can do well. What were you seeing of
Yes,
that?
yes. The in no particular order, in
Yep.
no particular order whatsoever. I quite like. Should I name the player as well if it's available
Let's
to me?
start with the nation because I will share my screen and I will find the list
Okay,
for the viewers at home then.
there is a German list. Now, look, it's almost there for me, but it's
Yeah.
it's in the Welsh team. It's their first list entered. It's the German one.
Yeah. So this
Um,
is the one, right?
yes,
So that is Paul
yes,
Wiggins. Yeah.
yeah. There is some elements to this list where I feel like I'm like, okay, all right, I could potentially play this list.
Mm.
Um, and I feel like it can do a few different things.
Yeah.
Uh, and Yeah,
It
it's
has
got
many
some.
different
It
elements, right? It's got
does.
a regular SMG unit, 7 men with SMGs, late war,
Mm-hmm.
and then it's got a couple of like easy order dice with the LMG teams. It's got another 7 man unit here, more LMG teams, Panzer double Panzer, and then
Yep.
the artillery park that you were looking for here, right? There's a lot of light
Mm-hmm.
autocannons in these lists.
There is
Um,
a lot.
yeah. It's got a Nebelwerfer to spread out the enemy and a couple of light autocannons, and then it's got the drillings, which, oh, they are deadly, um,
Yeah.
but also vulnerable.
Yeah. Yeah. It's an interesting list. Like
Yeah.
it definitely covers a few different avenues.
Yeah.
Um, the drillings have got to probably be really careful. I
Yes.
think though, like they're going to be able to put out, a bit of punch, and they can threaten a lot.
They can.
But I've also noticed there is a heck of a lot of armor getting around as well, and those drillings are probably not going to want to see armor. Um, yeah,
At
could be a
at
bit risky,
least
but
not. They would prefer the armor to be 7+, right?
oh, look, if it's 7+ armor, yeah, have a ping.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, Also, because they are open topped, there are a lot of lists getting around that are attempting to just throw pins around. They
Yeah.
could also be pinned out quite quickly. And the way that Snap 2 works as well now, people, well, it's always worked that way. But the fact that every list, even if they're not German, get a lot of access to more Snap 2s, you could easily put 2 or 3 pins on a drilling before it could even
Easily.
activate, right?
Yes.
And
Yes.
then
Yes.
what's it
Yes.
doing?
Yeah.
It's stuffed. So that's also a challenge. So the drillings need to be careful. Really, really, it's going to require good placement, solid placement,
And the
and
right amount of terrain. I think this is a list that also like requires the right table. Um,
yeah,
but with the right table, I
agreed.
think it has a lot of potential because it has that reach, and it has at the same time that really up close and personal point blank range. Yeah, I like it as well.
Yeah,
And of course, Paul
yeah, it's
Wickens
interesting.
is a really really good top level player
Right. Okay.
in the UK.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's a threatening combination of player and list, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, I might be a bit overkill on the Panzerschrecks for me. I'm not sold on the Panzerschrecks,
Nah. Yeah.
um, if I'm honest. But
Even with the
um,
bonus of them being able to shoot houses now.
nah, no one's going to go into buildings. I mean, people don't really go
And
into buildings
it's
anyway, do
death
they?
trap anyway with all the autocannons here. So yeah,
Yeah, it's a probably a whole new conversation, but I'm a bit sad about buildings. They've
yeah,
even lost the extra protection now,
yeah,
which kind of
yeah,
sucks. But I loved buildings in V2. I loved using them. I loved going in them.
yeah.
Um, and yeah, unfortunately now with the way that the hit modifiers work, the buildings are actually easy to hit. Whereas before, with being able to go down,
Yeah.
you could actually bait someone into shooting your building with a HE, and their chances of hitting were not very high. Unfortunately,
Yeah.
no longer. So
Longer. Right.
yes.
Yeah. So that was the first list. What else did you want to pick out for us?
Ooh, yes, I would love to. There is a list here. Now, I'm not sure how to pronounce the team name, but
Yeah.
I
Okay.
am assuming that it is a Spanish team of sorts, and I
There she
like this
is.
one.
Yeah.
It is Spain 1 list.
Tesio Huevo. Huevo.
Yes.
Huevo, maybe. I'm not. My Spanish is crap as well. So. And which one is it?
The German, funny enough, German list again.
Do we see a trend here?
Not intentionally. Uh, I quite like this list. I quite
Yeah,
like this list. And also, weirdly enough, now he is using flamethrowers. And
he
there is
is.
not many lists here with flamethrowers at all.
No. So
Flamethrowers have been
he's
kicked to the
got
curb.
a lot of LMG's backline holders here. He's got Brandenburgers. He's got
Yeah.
the Pioneers, so 2 units of Pioneers, one Pioneer 5-man and one Storm Pioneer with a flamethrower.
Mm-hmm.
And then he's got transport for those, and he's got an armored platoon here with 222 Panzer Lux with Recce and 250/9s, two of those. So a lot of
Mm-hmm.
cannons in this armored platoon here.
Mm-hmm.
It's a really, really strong, and it's 16 order dice, so it's a little lower, but I mean, that has a lot of punch, doesn't it?
It does. I don't know who this player is, but if they are a solid player, I think they're going to pilot this list well.
Yeah.
And
Um, it says Russell up here, but it does so on two of the lists. Russell, also Carlos, is normally a Soviet player, and he is one of the best Soviet players in the world. He has become the world champion at the WTC, the 4-man tournament, 4 times. So he is absolutely top of the game. And
okay,
I think it's Russell. I mean, if it's not Russell, then it's Achilles, and he is also he plays
right.
Germany quite often. He knows his 222s. Yeah,
Yeah.
so
Okay.
one of the two, absolute. Like in my top five in the world, both of them are in that top five group. So
All right. Good,
yeah,
good. Yeah, the I quite like that. I do quite like the 5-man 1 LMG reg
yeah,
at the top there.
hmm
Probably put in more than I would. There's what, 4, maybe 5 total
yeah. He's
of
got
those.
5 of them. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so that's quite a
you
lot, to be
you
honest.
would change
Um,
out one of them for some SMG good dudes.
yeah, I'd probably only have 2 squads
Yeah,
of those type.
yeah,
Um, again though, like yeah, they're gonna need to be placed well, right? Like this list here, in the hands of an inexperienced player, is
oh,
probably gonna flop.
that's gonna struggle.
Um, it's gonna fall flat on its face. But uh, yeah, in the hands of someone that is experienced and knows how to deploy his elements,
Yep,
I think it's a good combination.
it really
I
is.
quite like it.
And those Brandenburgers means that you're very much less likely to have outflankers and reserves and all of that. So he's going to have you straight on, which means that all of his LMGs and autocannons are going to cut you down as you try to. I really like this list as well.
Mm. Yeah, it's quite nice. And yeah, just interesting that he is also using flamethrowers and hardly anyone is. There is only one
Yes, yes,
flamethrower there though, but
yep. But it's there, and I think it's there just so he can throw something up that, like, if something really hard comes like through his shooting defense, then he has something he can throw at it and just say, right, I'm going to try and kill you with that flamethrower, right?
yep.
He also has a couple of Panzerfaust hidden, like one in the Brandenburgers here, and I think that PC is another Panzerfaust here in the Pioneer squad, so 2 Panzerfausts. So he also has that if armor comes through his defenses here.
Yep. Which is the
Yeah.
way I would prefer to go personally,
Mhm.
as opposed to the Panzer Shreks
Yeah.
from the previous list. I would go more down this route. And it's interesting to note that not many people have thrown Panzerfaust in their lists. And
Mm.
I'm obviously hearing a lot of people saying 15 points now, 3 times what they were, not worth it, can't use them. You know,
Yeah.
you take 4 Panzerfaust and that's like, that's, you know, 60-point unit. I can
It
get a
is.
heavy mortar for that. Why would
Yeah.
I bother?
Yeah.
So I get it. I understand the pain point.
Mm.
But I still understand the value of the Panzerfaust. So yeah, I would probably set up something similar to this. I would prefer maybe a bigger transport that looks like it's only the 5-man.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah,
Two
I'd
fifty slash
rather
one. I
that.
think it's a 5-man transport. Yeah.
Yeah, that to me is a little odd. But it's fine.
Mm.
Still works. But yeah, I'd probably prefer a bigger one. And also, these open top transports now need to be slightly more careful than they did in the past.
Yeah.
Not crazy, but you know, as someone who's used plenty of open topped armored cars,
Mm,
There are just a couple more considerations we need to have now
yeah,
that we didn't in V2, but
yeah,
we don't need to get into that right
yeah.
now.
No, no, but I completely agree. They are a little more. There are a few more things that you need to be aware of, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
so.
Right. Do we have a final list that we want to pick out and show?
Oh, well, I know you've already talked about your list,
I have.
so
Yeah.
we can leave. We don't have to. We can leave that one. Um, we don't have. This isn't one that I necessarily personally like, but the one next to it is super interesting with
Right.
all the comms simulats.
Yeah.
Oh, oh
That
dear.
is kind of weird, isn't it? It's so weird to see finish lists that are armor heavy. Like they spam out
Yeah.
that. It's insane.
Yeah.
But that's because there's a
Yeah.
hefty discount, like 19 points for a Comsumlet now. It's really cheap.
Super cheap. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's so cheap.
Yeah.
I mean, there's easy ways to punish those comm simulats.
Mm.
And they don't really like, you know, if they're moving,
Yeah.
they're not even odds on to put out a pin,
No.
even under the new shooting phase rules. So, I mean, they're only 2 shots,
No.
which is at best 5s when moving, which is horrible. But anyway,
Yeah. And
yeah.
they'll
Look, there's
really
ways to
quick
punish
get
those.
in, right? So yeah.
If you're trying to pick up some cheap dice in the kill points missions,
Mm.
it might not be that difficult to pick up a comm simulat or two.
Yeah. You can actually
And there's
you
that
can
many.
get it out, like give it 4 or 5 pins and it's gone.
Mm,
Yeah.
yeah, let's say. Yes. How also the where the list on I'll just grab it. It was I think it was on the Scotland team or the England team. I'll just quickly check. I think it was oh no. Yeah, I kind of
So the Scots, they've got a bunch of Darker Panzers in the first list, and
Oh,
then
I found it.
yeah, where was it?
I found it. It's in the German team
Okay, we'll go to Germany.
and it's list 1.
Germany, there. Germany, list one. Yeah, the Hungarian one. That's Manuel. Yeah,
This is interesting.
really is.
Very interesting.
Aero Cross Militia all the way down. It's got so many of
Yeah.
these units and loads of different sizes on them, and all of them shirkers. So dirt
Yep.
cheap, but oh my god, are they vulnerable to pins? And then
Yes.
he combined it with the artillery air officer. Sorry. So he
Is that
brings his.
the arty or the air?
I think it's
I
the
couldn't
air
quite tell because it says Ari, but
yeah, yeah. So I think it's the air observer.
right, okay. Sure.
He's bringing like
Interesting.
so many Aerocross militias, Aerocross,
Mm-hmm.
Aerocross, Aerocross, all the way down, and then
Yeah.
Toldies, Toldy two, 1, 2, 3, 4 Toldies, and a Nimrod.
Yep. Yeah.
That's a lot of
It's
armor and a horde at the same time, isn't it?
yeah,
And then
it's
all the Nebelwerfers.
it's a bit bizarre. I'm not saying I want to play this, but
No,
like
I don't think I could play
it's
this.
just
I don't think I could. I know that Manuel can play this because I've played against him using similar lists, very similar lists. He knows
mm,
how to play this. I just
mm-hmm.
don't see how I would play it. 24 order
Yeah.
dice. So he's also maxing out on order dice, and he's bringing
Yeah.
4 multi launchers. I mean, ouch.
Yeah, it's a lot.
It's a lot, and
The
all these.
Toldi is the
Sorry.
anti-tank rifle one.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
So he has
interesting.
a lot of anti-tank rifles, and then the Nimrod has a heavy autocannon. Uh, so that's actually kind of deadly, and especially with the Hungarian rules for World Open War, because they get the Case Blue reroll for the 3+ autocannons. So that is actually
Yep.
really deadly. Um, but he's got so many anti-tank rifles, and then all of that militia. I think he's trying to pin down armor platoons here, and then just have his multi launchers bombard you for 6 turns.
Yeah, it's a bit mental. I
Yep.
I think look, there's going to be certain missions where if I was personally playing,
Yep.
I would love to be playing against this list.
Yes.
Like, oh my days, give me this list. I don't care what player it is.
Yep.
Um, like you can pick up easy dice against this list, right? And
Yeah.
they've got so much stuff.
Yeah.
They can't hide it everywhere. That some stuff's gonna need to be soaking up fire, and
Yes.
all of it can die pretty quick. Especially, I know he's a good player.
It's a
But
really good player,
there's only
but
so much you can do
yes.
sometimes. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's
And like I
look
said, I
in
don't think I could play this. I have no idea how I would make this work, but I've seen him do it.
yeah. Yeah, it can definitely work. It's going to have some advantages at some points. I actually don't mind the arrow cross militia.
Mm.
I actually quite like them.
Yep.
If it's in the right position and something isn't up in their face, which
Mm.
against a lot of uh, lists that he's facing, they're just going to be able to go down in soft or hard cover and live,
Yeah.
and stay down and just keep losing all the pins,
And that's
right?
exactly how he uses his shirkers, always has done. He just
It's
sits
not
there,
hard.
waits for you to move, and if you shoot them, they'll go down. That's it.
Yeah, and then they stay down.
And then they stay down.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
And
shaking
now
dice.
they can stay down and lose all their pins.
Yep.
So,
Right. So here, that was us talking about the lists, right? Um, Here at the end. Oh, did you freeze out? Oh, a little bit. Okay. Anyways,
did
here
I?
at the end.
Oh,
So, uh, because you're outsider, you can do this objectively. What do you think is going to happen? Do you have like a favorite nation to win this?
mm. Oh, it's uh, what as an Australian, what am I allowed to say? No, look, I think I don't have a favorite nation necessarily to, and I know some people. I know yourself. I met a couple of other guys. It looks like even some of the English guys
Yeah.
I've met before. I've played against some of these guys as well. That I was noticing in some of the nations. So yeah, like I want everyone to go well and
Yeah.
have a good time. And it looks like there's going to be lots of learnings, right?
There
There's
is.
going to be a lot of learnings, no matter what. There's going to be a lot of talking points.
There
I'm sure a
is.
lot of laughs is going to be had, and a lot of debriefing and reconstructing and all that kind of stuff's going to go on, right? It's
Yeah.
gonna.
And I
After
can
this,
already reveal that tomorrow I'm going to give out my predictions, and I'm not doing them either.
okay.
Because I don't feel comfortable either. I'm like at a place where it's all so much up in the air that I don't feel like I can predict anything yet. I need more data before I can start doing
Yeah.
predictions for anything. So yeah,
It's difficult. I did notice most of the missions are either, and this is just like BA in general, right? But
yeah,
a lot of kill points and a lot variations of kill points and a lot of variations of key positions, and they
yes,
seem like the main two. There's a couple of movement missions, but it just there's even seem like so many different variations of kills or objectives.
yeah,
So I don't know if heaps of order dice is necessary. It could still be an advantage, but it may
mm,
not be as necessary as sometimes or
yeah,
certain events.
yeah,
I do feel like the uh yeah this Spanish list one, especially if it's piloted by yeah someone that knows what they're doing. I think it will go well.
yeah.
Um, it does have a lot of tools in the kit. It
It
can
really
pick up
does.
dice. It can protect its own.
Yeah.
It can take objectives as well. It can retake objectives. It can
Yes.
take objectives that it's never had to begin with as well, from the opponent. And yeah, it can just pick up easy dice without giving up dice of its own. So yeah, if piloted well,
Yeah.
so I think that could be advantage.
And
There,
that's a pretty safe
yeah,
bet anyway, because I mean the Spanish have four world championships under their belts by now,
yeah,
at least for four-man build action. So, um,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Anywho,
I just have some concerns about the Comsomolets.
yes, me too. But I'm betting on that, and I am definitely going to try and lead Denmark to another victory in three-man world team championships. So we shall see what happens. And thank you so much for joining me and giving out your wisdom.
No worries. Thank you. It was nice to jump on and chat again. And
Right.
look forward to hearing the results. And I hope that everything goes well.
Thank you.
Best of luck too,
Thank
no
you.
doubt.
Right. That was it from us, and we will hopefully see you for some after debriefing at some point. See you then. Cheers.
Yeah, that's great. Thanks. Bye.